Badly burned young girl gets no life. This is how she looks 17 years later. Teeba Furat Marlowe was only 19 months old when her life changed forever. One doctor told her mother it would be best if she died. No one expected what would happen after she posed for a journalist's picture. When people ask me how I've been so strong and so brave through my years and this journey, I wish I could say it was easy, Teeba said, but in no way was it easy. In 2003, Teeba Furat Marlowe was living with her family in Diyala Province, a rural area in the eastern part of Iraq, when Americans invaded the country. It was an atmosphere. You did not want to open your eyes, she said. You wanted to hold your breath. Despite the danger, her parents tried to create a normal life for Teeba and her 3-year-old brother, Yousef. One November day, her father took them in a taxi to buy her brother a bike. The trip would change their lives forever. The taxi they were in struck an improvised explosive device hit on the road. The roadside bomb engulfed the vehicle in flames. I don't remember the pain of the fire on my skin, Teeba said. I don't remember even crying. I only remember that when the explosion began, it was like everything was just so long. She also remembers feeling frightened as dust filled her tiny lungs. I remember the dust began to suffocate me, she said. Somehow Teeba survived, her big brother did not. There are days where we'll see some little boy who reminds me of a 3-year-old innocent Yousef, she said, and I often wonder who he would be now. While the heavy coat she was wearing protected her body, the fire seriously scorched her face, hands, and head, even burning the cartilage of her ears. In the rural culture, a child with such severe injuries would be an outcast. She would have little chance of ever getting married or living an independent life. A doctor told her mother it would be best if she died. Sometimes I get angry at those doctors or the elders in the village who truly believed I had no reason to lie, Teeba said. Her parents were only concerned about the lack of a treatment available for their daughter, who was just 19 months old. Few plastic surgeons were available in Iraq who could treat Teeba. Her family had even less money to pay for procedures or even medicine to ease her pain. The skin on her face was so severely damaged, making any movement hurt. I was constantly in pain, she said, doing just simple things like smiling or crying or laughing. It's like nothing would please my scars, she said. I would want to scream, but it would just hurt more. 3 years later, their depression led them to accept an invitation from an American journalist who heard about Teeba, who was now 4 years old at that time. Desperate to help his daughter, her father took her on a dangerous drive to Baghdad to share her story. The journalist had shared similar stories involving children injured by war. He told Teeba's father it was unlikely anyone who saw her story would help. He was wrong. From the pages of Sunday edition of The Plain Dealer, the girl in the picture stared at Barbara Marlowe. It stopped me dead in my tracks, Marlowe said. I was mesmerized by her eyes. In the photo, Teeba sat on her father's lap. The eyes she captivated Marlowe were surrounded by brunette skin. On that day, July 16, 2006, the mentor, Ohio woman, vowed to help the scared, struggling stranger. I feel very strongly that God spoke to me that day, Marlowe said. She realized she had the resources and more. Importantly, the desire bring Teeba to the United States for medical treatment. It was like Teeba had to get through the eye of the needle to get here, Marlowe said. Exactly 1 year from the day Marlowe saw her photo, Teeba stepped off a plane in the Cleveland. There is this tiny little girl, and she looked exhausted and tired and confused, she said. And the minute I looked at her face, I instantly fell in love with her. The feeling was mutual. Not long after she arrived in Ohio, Teeba asked her mother in Iraq if she could call Marlowe mom too. The story is so rehearsed in my mind. It kind of seems like the little girl in the picture was not me, said Teeba, now 17. She said it's difficult to digest how someone could turn their life upside down to help a stranger. If there's one thing my mom has taught me, it's not to take no for an answer and to pursue whatever it is that you want, Teeba said. And she wanted me, and I'm so grateful for that. When Teeba arrived, no one realized their journey had just begun. At a meeting with the doctors at Rainbow Babies and a children's hospital, a plastic surgeon recommended Teeba undergo tissue expansion. The process to smooth her scars would take years. Marlowe's husband, Tim, had supported her efforts to help the girl in the picture, but neither expected the treatment to last more than a few months. Tim and I looked at each other and were like dumbfounded. Marlowe said we had no idea what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, but we knew we were going to do it. Teeba's parents agreed to let her stay with the Marlowes, stranger they had never met, so their daughter could receive a treatment she had no hopes of accessing in Iraq. Then doctors began the tedious process of slowly stretching her healthy skin to replace a scared skin. During surgery, balloon-like expanders were implanted under her skin on her neck, back, and stomach. Each week, a saline solution was poured into a port in the device to expand Teeba's skin. Ultimately, I looked like a big tumor, said Marlowe. They referred to them as Teeba's bubbles. After a month of expansion, Teeba would undergo another surgery to remove the expander and burn its skin. Then, the stretched healthy skin was pulled to cover areas that were burned. We had times when ports didn't work, skin lacerated, so we had to start all over again, Marlowe said. It was very difficult. Consent complications were far from the only problem the family encountered. When surgery started, so did something no one expected. The hospital setting triggered Teeba's memories of bombing. I remember being back in the explosion and everything around me was just so hot around me, she said. I felt like I was still on fire, she said, and I didn't know how to stop burning. After each surgery, when she woke from anesthesia, she was terrified. She would be wild, Marlowe said. She would be crying, she would be screaming, she would be tearing off her clothes. Each time, Marlowe would hold Teeba in her arms for hours, rocking her back and forth, attempting to soothe her. She questions whether the surgeries were worth the pain they were causing a little girl who had already suffered so much. There were times during these surgeries where I fell to my knees, Marlowe said. I said, "What are we doing? Why are we doing this?" Then, one day, she saw Teeba staring into a mirror, smiling in her face, as she examined a small piece of smooth, healthy skin. She could actually see new skin, Marlowe said, that gave us a lot of hope and encouragement for her. There were still more changes ahead. Teeba's scars had always attracted stares from a stranger, but now her appearance led to even more attention. Cruel comments stuck tall on her self-esteem. Everywhere I went, it was like I was this monster, Teeba said. She cannot even remember the number of times she's been told she's ugly. Sometimes I almost wish I had to stay in a house these few years instead of going out, she said. The comments that have always hurt her must involve her hair. Teeba wears a wig. The explosion burned her scalp so badly she cannot grow her own hair. A lot of people, especially a lot of boys, will make fun of me for that. She said, I just want to grab them and scream because it's like, I don't like that situation either, dude. I wish I could grow my own hair, but I cannot. She plans to become a pediatric anesthesiologist to help ease the fears of other children facing surgery. I'm proud of my face, she said. I'm proud of my skin for being able to endure all those surgeries. I think for a girl with the scars running up and down my face, I'm pretty.